The first time Gilbert Chilala took a life, it was almost too easy. The man had begged, whispering prayers, gasping for breath, clutching at the hands tightening around his throat. Chilala didn't flinch. He watched the light fade from his victim's eyes with a calm detachment, as if he were merely switching off a lamp. Then there was silence. He exhaled slowly. No fear, no hesitation, no regret. It was in that moment, standing over a lifeless body, that Chilala realized something chilling. He liked the power. Before he became Zambia's most feared murderer, Gilbert Benson, Chilala was just another boy, born into the unforgiving heat of the Copperbelt province. Details of his early life are scarce, but those who knew him in his youth describe a boy who was clever, quiet, and calculating. He never lashed out in anger like other children. When he was insulted or wronged, he simply smiled and waited. Revenge came later, and it was always brutal. Some say his father was a military man, strict and unyielding. Others claim his mother was distant, indifferent to the boy she raised. What is certain is that young Chilala grew up in an environment where weakness was not an option. As he entered adulthood, he found his way into the military or a high level criminal network, depending on which rumors you believe. Either way, he learned the art of survival, of patience, of killing. When he finally stepped into the world of crime, he did so with the precision of a man who had been preparing for it his entire life. Chilala's first known murder was just the beginning. He moved like a shadow through the city, taking lives with no clear pattern. Some were shot, others strangled, some simply disappeared. He robbed, he tortured, he killed, all with a cold efficiency that made him impossible to catch. At first, the police thought they were dealing with random acts of violence, but as the bodies piled up, a chilling realization dawned. There was a predator among them. Then came his most infamous crime. Leonard Capapele Combe, former Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and his wife, Elizabeth Chilando Combe. One evening, under the cover of darkness, Chilala and his men infiltrated the Combe residence. It wasn't just a robbery, it was an execution. The couple was tied up, their valuables taken, and before the night was over, both were dead. The murder of a high profile politician sent shockwaves through Zambia. This was no ordinary killer. This was someone who believed he was above the law. For months the police chased shadows. Chilala had no fixed address, no known associates willing to talk, no pattern to his killings. He was seen in bars, blending with the crowd. Some said he could be charming, even likable, but when his eyes went cold, there was nothing human left. He moved from city to city, town to town, always escaping just before the police arrived. Zambia had seen criminals before, but never one like him. No killer is untouchable forever. One night in 1999, a whisper reached the police. A location, a name, a time, a small house just outside Lusaka. The police moved in quickly, surrounding the building, weapons drawn, hearts pounding. They expected a fight. They expected blood. Instead, Shilala simply raised his hands and smiled, as if he had already won. His trial was swift. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses came forward. Bodies were linked to his crimes. The court had only one option: death. And yet, fate played its own twisted game. Chilala's death sentence was later reduced to life imprisonment due to good behavior. Good behavior. The irony was almost laughable. In 2010, he resurfaced, this time not as a feared killer, but as a changed man. He spoke of religion, of redemption, of seeking forgiveness. Some believed him. The families of his victims did not. Gilbert Chilala may be locked away, but his name still lingers in whispers. No one truly knows how many people he killed. Some say 200, others believe more. But the number doesn't matter. What matters is that for years, one man held an entire country in fear. A man who looked ordinary but was anything but. His name, Gilbert Chilala. But names are just words. Words fade. People forget. The sudden chill in the air when walking alone at night. The instinct to glance over a shoulder just in case. The way a locked door never quite feels locked enough. Because even behind bars, even in death, killers like Chilala never truly disappear. They live on in the fear they planted, in the nightmares that refuse to end.